first game was the most successful Castlevania that's ever been released in the series history. So in a way we kind of feel vindicated that we took this approach, that we tried to reach out to the bigger audience, and we were successful in doing that. You know, some of the things that people really liked were the deep combat system, the strategy involved in combat. You know, the fact that the game really wasn't a button masher, you really had to think about what you were doing. One of the criticisms that we got was, you know, the exploration aspect of it was more of a linear game, and people want to see more exploration. So these are sort of things that we've taken on board. So for Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate and for Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, we've developed the combat aspect of it and made it a bit more interesting and a bit deeper than it was before. And for the exploration side of the game, we've also taken on board the criticism and made that a lot more kind of open world and given players the freedom to do what they want to do and go back. So if you've seen Mirror of Fate, you'll see that it's got a kind of much more of a level design that allows for backtracking and going back, and it's not a level-based game. It's more of a, you know, one continuous journey throughout the castle, and you can go back. I don't want to compare it to Metroidvania because it's not a Metroidvania game, but I suppose the layout in terms of level design is very similar to a Metroidvania style game. We want to tell the story of Dracula. I mean, that's kind of where we started up from the get-go. You know, Dracula really was just the guy you beat at the end of the game, and we said to ourselves, you know, this what can we do with Dracula? What can make it a bit more interesting? He could be a really interesting character. Why do the Belmonts have to face this guy? You know, why is it them? What's their reason for going up against Dracula in every game? So what we've tried to do is taken that concept and tried to answer that question and made Dracula a little bit more of an interesting character. So, you know, with Lords of Shadow 1, you've pretty much got Dracula Begins, and with Lords of Shadow 2, you've got the end of the saga. And Mirror of Fate really is about the Belmonts and how they fit in with Dracula. So, you know, we want to create a saga that's, you know, got the feelings and the aspects of Castlevania that people like, but give it a sort of deeper, more tragic story that people can really get involved in, and characters. Reimagine those characters and their motivations against fighting Dracula, you know, give that more of a reason so people understand that reason more. So when they play as Dracula in Lords of Shadow 2, they're going to understand him. They might not agree with him, but they'll understand how he got to that place and where he's going as a character. We want to maintain that kind of strategic element of the combat. We want to maintain that you know, the players have lots of options when it comes to defeating enemies. That, you know, it's interesting for them that they have, you know, really cool secondary weapons, that they have really cool abilities, and that they're able to, you know, take down the creatures of the night using these abilities, and they feel like they're on this epic adventure. That's probably really important, you know, that it feels like an epic adventure. It's not just a kind of hack and slash game without any real meaning. We want the game to have, you know, a clear direction in terms of story and a clear direction in terms of progression for the player, so that they feel they can identify with the character that they're playing with. So, you know, we're improving the sort of combat abilities of the characters without revealing too many sort of secrets, but you know, players will certainly feel that the combat has developed in Mirror of Fate, and again in Lords of Shadow 2.
Worthy of the name Belmont.
For starters, we got to create our own technology for this game because we didn't have any track record in handhelds development. So that made a huge difference, all right? Because Castlevania Lords of Shadow engine, the Mercury engine at that time, was an evolution from our previous games. But for Mirror of Fate, we got to build the Mercury engine specifically for the Nintendo 3DS, which is in itself a huge challenge because there's a lot of surprises along the way you are not expecting, but they're there, and usually are not pleasant surprises. So yeah, that's one of the biggest points when talking to the Mirror of Fate development. On the other hand, given it is a sequel to Lords of Shadow and it has to smell like it, then it was familiar ground to work with. So we were a bit, you know, completely naked regarding the technology, but we were at home regarding the game content and what is explained into it and how is the gameplay, etc. So it's been challenging, okay, but I think that, as you can see downstairs, if you play the demo, I think we have reached kind of, you know, the game is quite similar, is quite, you know, reminiscent from Lost Shadow. You can feel the same touch than in Lost Shadow, not just in the visuals. I mean, just if you try, you'll feel the combat strength, you know. So it's been interesting. It hasn't ended because we are still on it, but I would say that it's been an interesting development from Mercury's team.
I think getting that kind of gritty, realistic, you know, fabulous art design that we had on Lost Shadow, getting that into 3DS has been pretty challenging. But I think when you look at the 3DS game, it works really well in 3D. You know, it's like looking at a miniature diorama. The depth that's there is really special, and I think that's something that Nintendo picked up on. You know, when we started showing them the code, they were like, "My God, this looks amazing!" And that's why when they got behind us and helped us with the title, and helped support us with the title. And I think, you know, like Henrik said, it has the feeling of Lords of Shadow, but it also has the feeling of the classic Castlevania games. You know, especially if you play Dracula's Curse and things like that. You know, the way that the game plays with the branching multiple paths and multiple characters. You know, there's quite a few homages to Dracula's Curse in the game, which, you know, you'll find out probably later on. But you know, that's kind of been something that we wanted to do. You know, that we wanted to kind of pay homage to the classic Vanias. Pretty much from the get-go, we've looked at the classic games. You know, we haven't looked so much at the Metroidvanias or the Symphony of the Nights and that. We've looked at what was the source, what was the core start of Castlevania, how did it come about. We looked at Castlevania 1, Super Castlevania 4, which is a remake, you know, Dracula's Curse. That's where we're coming from, you know, and unfortunately a lot of people haven't played those games. You know, they've played Symphony of the Night and they say, well, this isn't my Castlevania, this isn't, you know, it's not like Symphony of the Night. And I'm saying, dude, you know, Castlevania was around 1986 and that's what I grew up on and that's where we're coming from. That's been our ultimate source, so I think we're much closer to those classic games than the Metroidvania style. Having said that, we appreciate that some of the criticism we got for exploration, so we have looked at the Metroidvania styles and we're trying to please the fans and bring more fans with us. You know, we do listen to criticism, we understand that, you know, there were certain things that people didn't like, and we've taken that on board, and, you know, hopefully you'll see that in both games as we show them. I don't think what we're doing is different, it's new, you know, and I think you need to keep an open mind, but the flavour and the feeling and the love for Castlevania is definitely there. I think if you look hard enough you'll see it and you can feel it, and a lot of fans have felt it, you know, and it's really nice to get the reaction that we've got for, you know, showing Lords of Shadow 2 and Mirror of Fate. It's been fantastic. It's been really quite humbling, actually, hasn't it? Yeah.
The mirror has shown you Gabriel's fate. You must protect the child from his father.
We're not creating an RPG game, we're creating an action game, but we want players enjoy exploring the castle, finding secrets, so we're going to have that in the game. It's more about weapon resources and items that you pick up, but it's not really the RPG aspect of the Metroidvanias that has kind of developed over time. We're not taking that. We're sticking to an action game, but you've just got you know, lots of secrets, lots of areas you can go to. For example, some characters, although you're exploring the same castle with different characters in different timelines, so you'll see certain things that you did with a previous character, but you can also reach different areas of the castle with that particular character because they've got that particular ability that allows you to get there. So Trevor Belmont, for example, has double jump ability. So, you know, when you play through as Simon, you might see something that, oh, I couldn't get to that before, but then as Trevor, you can get there and then open up a whole new area of the castle. So it's not a Metroidvania, okay? I don't want to get reported that, yeah, they've gone the Metroidvania route. We have not gone the Metroidvania route, okay? We've just taken on board that people like exploration, they want a more open world to explore, and that's what, you know, that's what we've delivered with both Mirror of Fate and Lords of Shadow 2. We use the touchscreen. One of the things that we can talk about is that the map screen. One of the cool things is you can leave little post-it notes to yourself where interesting things are. So for example, where there's a health font or where there's a secret item or a place you can't get to at the time, you can write notes kind of Zelda style to yourself so you can go back and remember. Or perhaps if you're playing as one character and you know that you're not going to be able to get to this certain area, you know that when you play through as the other character, that's an area I want to go and find out, see if I can get there. So you can do that with the game. You know, we have the bestiary, which we had in Castlevania Lord of Shadow. It's very much similar to Lord of Shadow, and you had the travel book. So the travel book is kind of your companion, and that's all used on the touchscreen. And you'll also be able to activate your magic on the touchscreen, and a few other things, but that's the stuff that we can talk about right now. But I mean, at the moment, it's very functional, the bottom screen. The only thing you can do is look at the map, but the final game, there'll be a lot more things you can do with the touchscreen. The trailer serves a purpose in that it shows Dracula and shows some of Dracula's powers. So you can bet that some of those things will be in the game, for sure. We want to sort of keep an air of mystery about Lord of Shadow 2 for now. You know, we've shown the game, we've shown that you're going to play as Dracula, that he's the main character. This is going to be the conclusion to the Lords of Shadow saga. This is going to be the last one that we do. We're going to move on to other things after that. And we want to go out with a bang. We want to go out and we want people to look at the whole saga, you know, Lord of Shadow 1, Mirror of Fate, Lord of Shadow 2, and just go, fuck me, this is amazing. This is the motherlode. This is really, we want to go out with a bang. So we've got big things planned for Lord of Shadow 2. And you'll get a taste of that in Mirror of Fate. Because if you can imagine Lord of Shadow 1 and Lord of Shadow 2 are like bookends. Yeah. You know, the beginning and the end of the saga, and then you've got Mirror of Fate in the middle. Lord of Shadow 1 and Lord of Shadow 2 are very much focused on Dracula as a character, you know, his motivations, what happens to him. Mirror of Fate is more about explaining why the Belmonts are the ones that are going up against him. We cover that, the tragedy of this family, the tragedy of the story of the characters. You know, this is quite a sad story. When all is said and done, when you see the whole thing finished, I think you'll see this as a kind of an epic tragedy, and hopefully, you know, you'll feel some sympathy for Dracula.